Good day everyone! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's now move on to Unit 2, which is the target setting in EDUC 202 Assessment in Learning 1. This is the outline of the discussion. For the Lesson 1, we have Standards-Based Assessment. Lesson 2, we have Appropriate Targets. Lesson 3, Unpacking Learning Competencies. For the objectives, at the end of this unit, you are expected to: number 1, formulate appropriate learning objectives and outcomes that are constructively aligned with national standards. For the Lesson 1 Standards-Based Assessment, which is the constructive alignment, assessment shall be used primarily as a quality assurance tool to track student progress in the attainment of standards, promote self-reflection and personal accountability for one's learning, and provide a basis for the profiling of students' performance. Assessment should be holistic, with emphasis on the formative or developmental purpose of quality assuring student learning. It is also standards-based, as it seeks to ensure that teachers will teach to the standards and students will aim to meet or even exceed the standards. The students' attainment of standards in terms of content and performance is, therefore, a critical evidence of learning. In an assessment framework, the recognition and deliberate consideration of the learner's zone of proximal development by Vygotsky 1978, appropriate assessment is provided to ensure learner success in moving from guided to independent display of knowledge, understanding, and skills, and achieve lifelong learning. Hence, this view of assessment acknowledges the unity of instruction. Assessment is part of day-to-day lessons and extends the day-to-day to classroom activities that are already in place in the K-12 curriculum. Moving on to K-12 assessment guidelines, we have the content standards. When we say content standards, it identifies and sets the essential knowledge and understanding that should be learned. They cover a specific scope of sequential topics within each learning strand, domain, theme, or component. Content standards answer the question, what should the learners know? On the other hand, performance standards describe the abilities and skills that learners are expected to demonstrate in relation to the content standard and integration of 21st century skills. The integration of knowledge, understanding, and skills is expressed through creation, innovation, and adding value to products or the performance during independent work or in collaboration with others. Well, performance standards answer the following questions. Number 1, what can learners do with what they know? Now, letter B, how well must learners do their work? Letter C, how well do the learners use their learning or understanding in different situations? Letter D, how do learners apply their learning or understanding in real-life context? And last, letter E, what tools and measures should learners use to demonstrate what they know? Let's now proceed with assessment types. There are two types of classroom assessment, namely formative and summative. Let us now begin with formative assessment. Formative assessment may be seen as assessment for learning, so teachers can make adjustments in their instruction. It is also assessment as learning, wherein students reflect on their own progress. Formative assessment may be given at any time during the teaching and learning process. It is also a way to check the effectiveness of instruction. Formative assessment involves teachers using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. Teachers observe and guide learners in their tasks through interaction and dialogue, thus gaining deeper insights into the learner's progress, strengths and weaknesses and needs. The results of formative assessment will help teachers make good instructional decisions so that their lessons are better suited to the learner's abilities. It is important for teachers to record formative assessment by documenting and tracking learners' progress using systematic ways that can easily provide insights into a student's or learning. Formative assessment results, however, are not included in the computation of summative assessment. Formative assessment must also provide students with immediate feedback on how well they are learning throughout the teaching learning process. As a result, students will appreciate and make their decisions about their progress. For the summative assessment, on the other hand, may be seen as assessment of learning, which occurs at the end of a particular unit. This form of assessment usually occurs toward the end of the period of learning in order to describe the standard reached by the learner. Often, this takes place in order for appropriate decisions about future learning or job suitability to be made. Judgments derived from summative assessment are usually for the benefit of people other than the learners. It was said in UNESCO TLSF. Summative assessment measures whether learners have met the content and performance standards. Teachers must use methods to measure student learning that have been deliberately designed to assess how well students have learned and are able to apply their learning to different contexts. The results of summative assessments are recorded and used to report on the learner's achievement. Primarily, results are reported to the learners and their parents or guardians. Likewise, these are reported to principals, school heads, teachers who will receive the child in the next grade level, and guidance teachers who should help students with cope challenges experienced in school. Let us now proceed in lesson 2, the appropriate targets. Let us discuss the differences between competency, objective, and outcome. There is considerable confusion about exactly what constitutes a learning outcome and how or if it is distinguished from learning objectives or competencies. Even in the education literature, the usage of these terms seems contradictory at times. Let's take a look at the definition of each. Let's define what competency is. A general statement that describes the desired knowledge, skills, and behaviors of a student graduating from a program or completing a course. Competencies commonly define the applied skills in professional, educational, and other life contexts. The term competency is more commonly used in relation to professional fields. Example, we have dentistry, nursing, or even education. A competency may have several specific learning outcomes, so a course typically contains more outcomes than competencies. For example, let's say that Dr. David's students are part of a pre-law program, meaning that they are planning on going to law school and becoming lawyers. She knows that her students need to be able to synthesize information into a persuasive written argument to be successful lawyers. So no one of the competencies for her course might be just that by the end of the course, her students should be able to synthesize information into a persuasive written argument. We also have objective. It is a general statement about the larger goals of the course or program. Learning objectives describe what the learner should be able to achieve at the end of the learning period. Learning objectives should be specific, measurable statements and written in behavioral terms. In short, objectives say what we want the learners know and competencies say how we can be certain they know it. For example, if Mr. Castro says that he wants her students to understand poetry, that's not very specific. If he says that he wants them to be good or rhyming, there's not really a way to measure that. But saying that he wants them to recognize different rhyme schemes is both specific and measurable. He could, for example, give them a test with passages from poems and have them identify which rhyme scheme each one follows. Now, let's proceed with the outcome. It is a very specific statement that describes exactly what the students will be able to do in some measurable way. There may be more than one measurable outcome defined for a given competency. A true learning outcome is written so that it can be measured or assessed. It focuses on what the student is and able to do at the end of a program or course. Thus, learning outcomes are the basis for an assessment program that focuses on what a student can or should be able to do either upon completion of a course or upon graduation from a program. The term learning outcome is used more commonly in the context of a program or course of instruction. Objectives, competencies, and outcomes can be written to describe the learning gained by students in individual courses or course outcomes or for the program as a whole. We have the programmatic outcomes. The main distinction between objective or competency and a learning outcome is that a learning outcome is written so that it can be measured or assessed. Thus, learning outcomes are the basis of an assessment program that focuses on what student can do either upon completion of a course or upon graduation from a program. Let us now proceed with the characteristics of objectives. Let's begin with letter S, which is the specific. Instructional objectives should precisely describe the attitudes, skills, and knowledge that the learner is expected to demonstrate. Answers the questions. Is there a description of a precise behavior and the situation it will perform in? Is it concrete? Is it detailed? Is it focused or even defined? For letter M, we have measurable. An instructional objective is measurable if it can be observed or one that generates data points. Measurable also pertains to ensuring that the achievement of the objective can actually be measured by an assessment strategy such as observation, test items, or problem-solving exercises. Let us now proceed with letter A, which is attainable. Ensure that your objectives are action-oriented. Learners cannot feel defeated by the intended outcomes of the learning objectives. Instructional objectives should not ask learners to prove themselves under unfeasible circumstances. You give learners ample time to prove their new skills. Letter R, realistic. The objectives should be reasonable. Most learners do not care about learning things that they cannot use right away. The information presented in the course and the outcomes should be relevant to their personal lives or day-to-day work. We have time bound. The learning objectives should have a time limit. This can be done by any other means, but the time frame must be specified. Learners need a deadline for when they should achieve and demonstrate the use of the skill set. Letter E, evaluated. Instructional objective needs to be evaluated. By evaluating your objective every single day, you'll be much more likely to achieve them. Why is that? Well, long-term goals and also goals that are 3 months or 6 months out can easily be ignored if they are not evaluated every single day. Number 7, letter R, readjusted. Instructional objective needs to constantly evaluate its progress and readjust its approach, methods, and techniques to ensure that it reaches its target. Readjust doesn't mean that you have to throw your objective out and start all over again. but rather you have to try different approaches until you find yourself getting closer and closer to your objective. Let's now proceed with learning domains and taxonomies. Letter A, cognitive domain. The cognitive domain involves knowledge and development of intellectual skills by Bloom in 1956. This includes the recall or recognition of specific facts, procedural patterns, and concepts that serve in the development of intellectual abilities and skills. There are six major categories of cognitive processes, starting from the simplest to the most complex. Number one is the knowledge, two, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. You just have to remember the Casey-Aponce acronym, K, C, up, and SE, Casey-Aponce. Let me tell you a story. Lauren Anderson, a former student of Bloom, and David Cratwell revisited the cognitive domain in the mid-90s and made some changes, with the three most prominent ones being: number one, changing the names in the six categories from noun to verb forms, rearranging them as shown in the table chart below, creating a processes and levels of knowledge matrix. This is the figure that I am trying to convey earlier, that I am trying to present, the comparison of the original taxonomy with the revised one. Try to figure out. Okay, let's now proceed with the revised or categories of new version under cognitive domain by Lauren Anderson. We have the remembering, the category level, the active verbs, and the example of statements. Okay, for the remembering, we have recalling, relevant knowledge from long-term memory. These are the active verbs: the recall, recognize, defined, list, name, label, identify, match, reproduce, state. Example of statements: list the main parts of a plant, recall the year of significant event history, and so on and so forth. Letter B, we have understanding, comprehending the meaning, translation, interpolation, and interpretation of instructions and problems. We have the active verbs: comprehend, convert, defend, distinguish, estimate, explain, extend, generalize, give an example, infer, interpret, paraphrase, or predict. Examples of statements: rewrite the principles of writing a paragraph, explain in one's own opinion the steps for performing a complex task. Number three category, applying. Use a concept in a new situation or unprompted use of an abstraction. Applies what was learned in the classroom into novel situations in the workplace. We have active verbs: apply, change, compute, construct, demonstrate, discover, manipulate, modify, operate, predict, prepare, produce, relate, shows, or solve. Examples of statements: use a manual to calculate employees' vacation time, applies laws of statistics to evaluate the reliability of a written test. Letter D, analyzing, separates material or concepts into component parts so that its organizational structure may be understood, distinguishes between facts and inferences. We have active verbs: analyze, break down, compare, contrast, diagram, deconstruct, differentiate, discriminate, distinguish, identify, illustrate, infer, outline, relate, select, and separate. Examples of statements: troubleshoot a piece of equipment by using logical deduction. Letter E, evaluating, make judgments about the value of ideas or materials. Active verbs: appraise, compare, conclude, contrast, criticize, critic, defend, describe, discriminate, evaluate, explain, interpret, justify, relate, summarize, or support. Examples of statements: select the most effective solution, hire the most qualified candidate, explain and justify a new budget. Letter A, F, Creating builds a structure or pattern from diverse elements. Put parts together to form a whole, with emphasis on creating a new meaning or structure. Active verbs categorize, combine, compile, compose, etc. We have examples of statements: write a company operations or process manual, design a machine to perform a specific task, integrates training from several sources to solve a problem. Let us now proceed with psychomotor domain. In the early years of 70s, E. Simpson, Dave, and A.S. Harrow recommended categories for the psychomotor domain, with included physical movement, coordination, and use of motor skills areas. Development of these skills requires practice and is measured in terms of speed, precision, distance, procedures, or techniques in execution. Number one category is observing, active mental attention to physical activity. You may use the active verbs watch, detect, distinguish, differentiate, describe, relate, and select. Examples of statements: watch a more experienced individual, detect a verbal communication cues, observe and read direction. Next category is imitating. Attempt to copy a physical behavior. We have the active verbs begin, explain, move, display, proceed, react, show, state, and volunteer. Examples of statements: recognize a person's weaknesses, show understanding, and do sequence of steps with assistance. We have the category level letter C, practicing, performing a specific activity repeatedly. You may use these active verbs like bend, calibrate, construct, etc. Examples of statements: construct a triangle, display competence while dancing, performance is becoming automatic and smooth. Last, we have adapting, fine-tuning the skill and making minor adjustments to attain perfection. Active verbs: organize, relax, shorten, sketch, rewrite or rearrange, compose, create, design, and originate. Examples of statements: compose a simple love song, design a framework of a research, create a new routine. Last domain is affective. The affective domain by Cratwell, Bloom, Mazza, 1973 includes the manner in which we deal with things emotionally, such as feelings, values, appreciation, enthusiasms, motivations, and attitudes. The five major categories are listed from the simplest behavior to the most complex. Number one is receiving. Awareness, willingness to hear, selected attention. You may use these active verbs: select, point to, sit, etc. Examples of statements: listen to the music, with feelings, choose the best answer. We have responding, active participation on the part of the learners, attend and react to a particular phenomenon. You may use these active verbs: answer, assist, aid, etc. Examples of statements: participate in class discussions. We have valuing, the worth or value a person attaches to a particular object, phenomenon, or behavior. Active verbs: appreciate, cherish, treasure, demonstrate, initiate, invite, join, justify, propose, respect, share. Examples of statements: demonstrate belief in the concept or process, propose a plan to social improvement, and follows through with commitment. We shall have organizing, arranging values into priorities by contrasting different values, resolving conflicts between them, and creating a unique value system by comparing, relating, and synthesizing. These are the active verbs that you may use: compare, relate, synthesize, arrange, combine, complete. Examples of statements: explain the role of systematic planning in solving problems. Letter E, internalizing, or the characterization, has a value system that controls their behavior. The behavior is pervasive, consistent, predictable, and most important characteristic of the learner. Active verbs: you may use act, discriminate, display, etc. Examples of statements: display a professional commitment to ethical practice on a daily basis. Let me introduce to you the other taxonomies. Letter A, structure of observed learning outcome, or the Solow taxonomy. It cannot be denied that Bloom's taxonomy has been quite useful in that it has extended learning from simply remembering to more complex cognitive structures, such as analyzing, evaluating. Newer models have been introduced. However, it has become more useful with the revised taxonomy. Being an alternate to Bloom, one model that might prove more useful is the structure of observed learning outcome, or the Solow taxonomy. It is a model that describes levels of increasing complexity in a learner's of understanding of subjects by Biggs College 1982. It aids both trainers and learners in understanding the learning process. The model consists of 5 levels in the order of understanding. We have pre-structural. The learner doesn't understand the lesson and uses a much too simple means of going about it. The learner is unsure about the lesson or subject. Unistructural. The learner's response only focuses on one relevant aspect. The learner has only basic concept about the subject. Next, multistructural. The learner's response focuses on several relevant aspects, but they are treated independently. The learner has several concepts about the subject, but they are disconnected. Assessment of this level is primarily quantitative. We have relational. The different aspects have become integrated into a coherent whole. The learner has mastered the complexity of the subject by being able to join all the parts together. This level is what is normally meant by an adequate understanding of a subject. Last, the extended abstract. The previous integrated whole may be conceptualized at a higher level of instruction and generalized to a new topic or area. The learner is now able to create new ideas based on her mastery of the subject. Okay, this is the table 4 for the Solow taxonomy with sample verbs indicating levels of understanding. Number 1, we have the pre-structural. The competence is incompetence, fail, incompetent, misses out, does not understand, or not trained. For the unistructural, one relevant aspect for the for being a competent. Okay, sample verbs identify, name, follow, simple procedure. So we have multistructural. The competence is relevant, several relevant independent topics or aspects. Sample verbs we have combine, describe, enumerate, perform serial skills, and list. For the relational, we have integrated into structure. For the sample verbs, analyze, apply, argue, compare, contrast, criticize, explain causes, and relate. Number 5, extended abstract. The competence is generalized to new domain. Sample verbs create, formulate, generate, hypothesize, reflect, and theorize. Solow taxonomy not only shows the instructors how the learners are progressing, but also the learners themselves. It does this by putting the processes in squares. You start in the center square or the unistructural and work outwards multistructural and relational, and finally extended abstract. Let us now proceed with Marzano taxonomy. Robert Marzano, an educational researcher, has proposed what he calls a new taxonomy of educational objectives in 2000, developed to respond to the shortcoming of the widely used Bloom's taxonomy in the current environment of standards-based instruction. Marzano's model of thinking skills incorporates a wider range of factors that affect how students think and provides a more research-based theory to help teachers improve their students' thinking. Marzano's new taxonomy is made up of 3 systems and the knowledge domain, which are significant for thinking and learning. The 3 systems are the self system, the metacognitive system, and the cognitive system. When faced with the option of starting a new task, thus, self system decides whether to continue the current behavior or engage in the new activity. Metacognitive systems set goals and keeps track of how well they are being achieved. The cognitive system processes all the necessary information, and the knowledge domain provides the content. This is the level 6. We have the self system, This system is comprised of the attitudes, beliefs, and feelings that determine an individual's motivation to complete a task. The factors that contribute to motivation are importance, efficacy, and emotions. We have the knowledge domains, information, mental procedures, and psychomotor processing. We have metacognitive system. This system has been described by researchers and theorists as responsible for monitoring, evaluating, and regulating the functioning of all other types of thought. By Brown 1984, Flavel 1978, Meshenbaum, and Arsenault 1979. The metacognitive system has four functions. We have specifying goals, process monitoring, monitoring clarity, and monitoring accuracy. Level 4, knowledge utilization or the cognitive system. As their name implies, knowledge utilization processes are those that individuals employ when they wish to accomplish a specific task. The four general categories of knowledge utilization tasks are decision making, problem solving, experimenting, and investigating. We have analysis or the cognitive system. More complex than simple comprehension, the five cognitive processes in analysis are matching, classifying, error analysis, generalizing, and specifying. By engaging in these processes, learners can use what they are learning to create new insights and invent ways of using what they have learned in new situations. We have comprehension or the cognitive system requires identifying what is important to remember and placing that information into appropriate categories. The skills are synthesis and representation. Level 1, we have the cognitive system, involves recalling information from permanent memory. At this level of understanding, students are merely calling up facts, sequences, or processes exactly as they have been stored. We have knowledge domain. The information is the what of knowledge. It consists of organizing ideas such as principles, generalizations, and details such as vocabulary terms and facts. For letter B, mental procedures can range from complex processes such as writing a term paper to simpler tasks such as reading a map, computing long division, and single covering capitalization. Letter C, physical procedures. The degree to which physical procedures figure into learning varies greatly by subject area. Let us now proceed in Lesson 3, Unpacking Learning Competencies. Unpacking competencies refers to the processes of deconstructing student learning outcomes into component parts. Competencies to identify key lifelong learning or key lifelong transferable learning skills and the types of learning experience, activities, tasks, and assessment that align with those outcomes. The importance of unpacking is to get a clear idea of what are the big ideas and essential learning outcomes. These are the steps in unpacking learning competencies. Number 1, you have to identify the concepts, knowledge, and skills. One must define, understand what learners are expected to know, understand, and be able to do. In doing so, nouns and verbs should be identified of the learning competency. The nouns will guide us on the content standard, concept that we are about to teach, and the verbs will guide us on the performance standards, skills we need to develop among learners. Number 2, identify the content complexity. Identify the level in the revised Bloom's taxonomy by Lauren Anderson, the student of Bloom, to define expectations and deeper understanding. Number 3, create student-friendly learning competencies. Identify the prerequisite skills that learners need to know, understand, and be able to do. Identify the evidence of learning through formative assessment tasks. In this manner, the learners will be able to show that what they understand and what they are able to do to show mastery of the competencies. Ensure also the alignment between competencies and formative assessment tasks. In unpacking learning competencies, or the KUD framework is a method used to align the level of competency to the revised Bloom's taxonomy by Anderson and Krathwohl. KUD is an acronym that stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Doing. Knowledge identifies the facts, people, dates, vocabulary, informations, and definitions. Understanding refers to principles, generalization, theories, and big ideas of the discipline. So this is the figure number 2 alignment of KUD to the revised Bloom's taxonomy. We have the knowing, understanding, doing. So knowing is for the remembering, the understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating is under the understanding. So creating and doing. So this is the learning competency. You will distinguish sentence from phrase, content, the noun, sentence, phrase, skill, the verb, or you have to distinguish. Level of content complexity under knowledge. This is the unpack learning competency to each 2 to 3 each. Define a simple sentence and phrase. Identify the elements of a simple phrase and sentence. So the assessment task and activity is sentence completion. Another is distinguish sentence from phrase for the understanding. No? Look at the unpack learning competency 2 to 3 each. Construct examples of phrase, construct examples of sentences, differentiate a phrase from a sentence from the given statement. The assessment or task activity to be given to the students, phrase and sentence construction. For the doing, so this is the unpack learning competency. Compose a simple essay given a certain topic. The assessment or task activity will be writing descriptive paragraph identifying sentences and phrases. Let's now proceed with ABCD of learning objectives. Learning objectives are known to be made up of a number of components. The major components are the audience. A stands for audience, B stands for behavior, C stands for condition, and D stands for degree. These four components make up a measurable behavior objective that will provide the keystone of your planning, delivery, and evaluation efforts. Let us first discuss the A stands for audience. The instructional objective must state the audience they are intended to serve for the educational activity. This helps in making the objectives measurable. Answer the question, who is doing the learning? Often this can be stated once for the entire course and therefore can be omitted from individual objectives. For example, in the phrase, learners will be able, the learners are the audience. Okay, let's proceed with B stands for behavior. Instructional objective should identify observable behavior or the performance expected of the audience to do. A behavioral objective should never include the instructional process or procedure as the behavior. It should always describe the intended results rather than the means of achieving those results. Behaviors are observable actions that are supposed to be accomplished by the end of an educational activity. To write a clear learning objective, it is important to carefully choose the most appropriate word that describes the behavior displayed by the participants. The action verb that forms part of your objective should be able to fully describe the specific behavior that is expected from a participant. Examples of action verbs that you may use include explain, identify, analyze, list, code, and present, among others. These verbs are the most important part of any learning objective. Verbs such as know and understand should be avoided as they may not be measurable and thus may create problem in the assessment process. For instance, it is better to have an objective that says learners will be able to list important markets for electronic products rather than learners will know the important markets for electronic products. A behavioral objective must describe the conditions, if any, under which the performance is to occur. Conditions may include what the learner will be allowed to use, what the learner will be denied, under what conditions the learner is expected to perform the behavior, or specific skills that should be excluded. An example of a condition in an objective is at the end of the lesson, the learners should be able to take less than 10 minutes in successfully predicting the performance of a given situation. Here the phrase less than 10 minutes represents the condition. From this example, given a maximum of 3 references, each participant should be able to prepare a 4 to 6 minute extemporaneous speech. The maximum of 3 references indicates a condition on what a participant can use. As for the learning objectives of ABCD is D stands for degree. Each objective must describe the degree to which the behavior must be performed to constitute an acceptable performance. It is not always necessary or practical to include the degree in an objective. However, the more information included in an objective, the better it will communicate the desired outcome. The degree can include criterion such as speed, accuracy, and quality. Examples: without error, 9 out of 10 times, within 60 seconds, etc. Here are the writing objectives from competencies guidelines. Number 1, outline the major skills or big picture ideas you are teaching students. Number 2, tell what you want learners to be able to do by the end of your course. Most classes will have 3 to 6 main idea skills per credit hour. Let me give you an example or good example of objectives. Number 1, perform vernipuncture. This is the poor. If you would compare the good and poor examples, you will notice, look at this one, understand venipuncture. Number 2, implement infection control strategies. So look at the poor examples. Beware of infection control strategies that they cannot observe, okay? Understanding awareness is difficult to define or measure. Here are the guidelines in making learning objectives. Describe specific activities a student will do to show that he or she has learned. Number 2, include 2 to 10 learning objectives for each learning competency, the main idea or skill. Audience plus behavior plus condition plus degree equals learning objective ABCD. So these are the elements of a well-written learning objective or the ABCD. Number 1, audience, who is doing the learning. Behavior indicates the task, product, or process you will observe or measure or the action. Condition indicates the resources available were performed or what information is given to learner. Degree indicates the measure of success or expectations for satisfactory performance or the criteria. Degree/criteria may include accuracy, speed, frequency, percentage, or number to be achieved, degree of excellence, qualities or elements, or of performance, or may reference published standards. Learning competencies show how the components of the innate immune system interact. Let us differentiate the effective and the less effective learning objective. Let's now proceed with the given or the effective learning objective. Examples of learning competencies with learning objectives. Given a scenario of a stressed animal, the students will explain succinctly and including all key mechanisms how the margination pool influences neutrophil count. Look at the less effective learning objective. Understand what happens with the margination, pool, and neutrophil counts in stressed animals. No behavior, no condition or degree. Another, given a bacterial infection in a specified part of the body, the students will describe to a molecular level how a neutrophil leaves the bloodstream, arrives at the site, and kills the bacteria. Look at the less effective learning objective. Know the steps involved in a neutrophil going from the bloodstream to killing bacteria. No behavior, no condition, nor or degree. Last, effective learning objective provided a selection of materials and a specific kind of wound. Correctly bandage a wound on an extremity. Look at the less effective learning objective. Learn how to apply bandages to extremities. Learning not observable, no condition nor degree. Thank you very much for watching the new lesson for today. I hope you learned a lot. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Have a great day ahead.